Happy New Year, and welcome to this very special hybrid episode of our global conversation about peace. Daniel, Jody, and I are coming to you live from the Bellevue Community Center in Wilmington, Delaware, USA today, where we have a production crew of Leos. And with the Leos, we have Lion Scott Michaels and a room full of Lions participating in today's discussions. Each year, around New Year's, people come, well, in every country, I think, they come forward and they reflect upon their lives and they make resolutions. And they resolve to eat healthier or exercise more or learn a new language or perhaps spend more time with family and so on. Today, we are focusing on our resolutions to build peace and understanding, one person, one community at a time. We're going to begin today by reflecting on what we've done to help promote peace and harmony and understanding in our own communities, and by exploring the opportunities to either build on our past efforts or to start a new initiative to build and promote peace. Daniel, I want to invite you to join me on screen here. And I think you're going to bring us a moment of reflection to help set the mood for today. Go ahead, Daniel.
This journey that we have been on has been going for quite some time and has begun to connect the world through conversations about peace. And we are at the start of a brand new year. And it is a time for us collectively, as individuals and as a whole, to begin to make those resolutions, those intentions about what we are going to do to help promote peace and understanding. And here from Wilmington, Delaware, I'm sitting next to the future of peace. And our resolution here is to involve the youth in leadership positions to help promote peace and international understanding all around the world. So Leo, Adam, are you ready to do that with us this year?
Yes.
All right, that's what I like to hear. Can I get a handshake for the world? All right, this is how we promote peace. And so the chat box is open. Please, everyone, take the moment to converse with each other all throughout this evening, and make sure to tell everyone else to join these conversations about peace, not just Lions, not just the people who are in your direct family, but everyone that you know. This is how the world comes together in this new year.
And so we are just going to enjoy a moment of musical interlude to give you time, without distractions, to put your thoughts into the chat box.
And as we listen to those music, we can see that we have been joined by people from Cyprus. We have been joined by people from the Dominican Republic. It is lovely to see that people are coming from Ghana. And wow, Caleb, Ghana. And I see the Republic of North Macedonia. And we have some of the newest Lions in the world from the Wilmington United Lions Club that was chartered just on Friday night joining us. And we have people wishing us a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy 2023 all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. I see England is on the call, and we are gathered all together to discuss peace. It is wonderful to help bring the world together. We have Poland and Nepal. Barbados. And I love the resolution that Lion Jody just shared. Been talking to every person that they can about how to promote peace. And Lion Nancy's going to be working with parks to develop sustainable agriculture products, growing vegetables and fruit together. Together we can.
So many great ideas are being shared, and I see that you're joining us in your commitment to peace and understanding from all around our globe. And I know that many of you are not working alone. In fact, right now, I would like to invite one of our peace allies to come on screen with me. I want to introduce you today to Barb Riley. Barb, you've been an advocate for peace for a lot of years, but since joining our global conversation about peace, I understand you've undertaken some new activities right in your own home community that are designed to bring people together. So first, I want to ask what you saw as the disparity or the social inequity in your community that you decided to address. Barb?
Oh, yes. Well, greetings, everyone. Greetings of peace to Lions and all our friends. There's always, I think, in every community, there's always a lack of knowledge about other cultures. And the more we get to know others, the better we could get along and really promote a situation of peace and love. And so in that way, because we don't know enough, we decided in our club that we would do a cultural presentation gatherings. So we invited about 3 or 4 different cultures to give us a 10 or 15-minute talk or maybe a slide presentation on their arts, on their customs, foods, music, and perhaps even a virtual tour of their country of origin. So not only do our Lions and guests and new member perspectives get to experience the diversity of our community, but the presenters get to know each other better as well. Some cultural presenters often will say, oh yes, we know the Lions. We know what the Lions do in our countries way back home. And that brings just a smile to our face. We had 3 such evenings virtually during COVID and 2 gatherings this fall. And these were very well received in the community. In fact, one of the ladies said, why isn't this hall totally full? Everybody needs to hear this. And it is truly an evening of building better awareness of the beauty, the diverse groups, thus fostering peace and understanding in our community. The more we get to know others, the better chance we have of accepting others and loving our neighbors and fostering peace. Recently, our provincial government has asked that some of the diverse groups do a series of communication with government officials regarding what are they experiencing in their community. And I sat in on one of those sessions, and it was an educational part for me. They addressed of how they feel when they're going shopping, and how in one store, someone was following them because they thought they would steal something. And that brought tears to my eyes, because So we don't realize that these things are going on. And one person said that they came and were in a lineup to a restaurant. And one lady, the host said, "Oh, are you here for a pickup?" They thought that they were not coming to eat, but they were delivering food for like skip the dishes or whatever we have here. But these are the things that we need to address in our communities. And what better way is to have these diverse groups. Now, I want to see if we can do a little video presentation of what we did. It's a sample of what we did in our club as a cultural gathering. So we could have that little video, please. Okay, it was a very short video.
Oh, but I mean, a picture tells a thousand, the picture just is so rich. Thank you for sharing that vignette. I was going to ask, what were some of the communities that you brought together where you live in Canada? And we certainly saw some representations there, Barb.
Yes. Okay, so we have outreached and connected with the Rotary, and we want to make that happen this year about them joining us with some of these cultural presentations. They are aware and are interested in it. We also are in partnership with a group in our community called Further Education. And this includes the Newcomer Center and a large amount of some 90 families that have come from Ukraine. Plus some garden groups we've connected with, the African and African descent group, the Latino group, and more recently, our city's family and community support services, who are also promoting diversity and inclusion, have asked us to advertise our events in our city calendar. They have classes on this subject, and we are connecting with them to see how we can expand these cultural presentation gatherings in our community. So we built a team, a vision, a plan, and we continue to successfully move forward in fostering peace and understanding.
Well, Barb, my next question for you was going to be, what are your plans for 2023? But you're going to continue with these in-person cultural community building events. I'm very impressed to hear that you've also reached out and had support and engagement from civic and elected groups, as well as social service groups, all of whom are interconnected in every one of our communities. So may I say to you and all of the peace allies in your group, I saw some of the others are online with us today. Congratulations for what you've done already. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do in 2023. I'll look forward to the follow-up stories, Barb. And thank you for being with us. Thank you.
And thank you, Lions.
Barb and her club provide a great example of resolving to spread peace in their community by identifying that opportunity to build cultural awareness. They were creating and implementing their plan. They celebrate their success, and then they build on that success to spread peace and harmony even further. As we get ready to talk about your goals and my goals that we're going to use to keep us focused to spread peace through this year, let's hear from one of the world's most recognized motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar, on the importance of goal setting. After all, what is a resolution if it's not just a goal pursued with passion?
Give me a stock clerk with a goal, and I'll give you a man who will make history. But give me a man without a goal, and I'll give you a stock clerk. goals do not care who has them. Let me give you a classic example of the way they work. In 1950, a war-torn, devastated Japan, a nation which had lost an incredibly high percentage of its young men. Their cities were in ruins, had been bombed out, but in 1950, they got together, they meaning industry and government got together and set a goal. The goal was we're going to be the #1 nation in the world during the 1950s in the production of textiles. In 1959, ladies and gentlemen, they accomplished that objective. In 1960, they set another goal. We're going to be the #1 nation in the world in the production of steel. Now, when you understand there's no iron ore in Japan of any significance, there's no coal of any significance there, we're going to be the #1 nation in the world in the production of steel, it seemed like an absurd goal, and yet they reached their objectives. They've taken all of the steps. In 1970, the Japanese set another goal. They said during the 70s, we'd be the #1 nation in the world in the production of automobiles. They missed it, folks. 1 year. It took them until 1980. In 1980, they set another goal. And this time their goal was, we're going to be the #1 nation in the world in the production of computers and electronics. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, you absolutely must have those goals. You got to write them down. You got to put a date on it. You got to identify those obstacles. You've got to identify the people, the groups you need to work with. You got to find out what it is you need to know. You got to develop a plan of action, and you got to write it down. What's in it for me? 10 or 15 years, I was going to write a book. You know anybody who's going to do just a whole lot of things, folks? But it wasn't until I got busy writing the book and writing the plans first before the book ever materialized. When I started to write the book, I took precisely the same steps that I'm talking about. I wrote down the objective. I wrote down the time I completed or expected to complete the book. I identified the obstacles there. And yes, I know this is repetitious. It's the mother of learning. I wrote out and identified the people, the groups, the organizations I needed to work with. I devised a plan of action to do it. I spelled out what I needed to know, and I wrote it all down. What's in it for me? Now that's a formula that I have just given you, pure and simple. Now if I were to ask you what 3 times 3 was, there isn't a person here who could not instantly answer it. But if I were to ask you what is 5,128 times 2,165, odds are enormous that very few of you could pop out the answer that quickly. But if I were to say to you, get your pencil and paper out, figure it out, then all of you could figure it out. Why? You know the formula. Now you see, if you know the formula, it really doesn't make any difference, ladies and gentlemen, what the goal really is.
You know, there are so many examples of goals that have been set and met. We have examples. We hear your examples every time we gather here. And Zig Ziglar's philosophy on goal setting is universal. And it likely sounds very familiar to you if you are part of Lions International or other groups that offer leadership training. We continue to focus on helping volunteers to build a team, then build the vision, build a plan, and then celebrate your success. With all of that in mind, let's focus on your plans to build peace in 2023. And it all starts with a vision. We've got a quick poll that will help you to focus your thoughts before we go to breakout rooms. So please share all of the challenges to diversity, inclusion, and harmony that you witness in your community. And if you choose the option other, please specify. We've used a standard list from the United Nations, which references barriers around race, age, nationality, ethnicity, location, gender identity, physical and mental abilities, education, political beliefs, religious beliefs, family or marital status. And of course, we've given you the last option as you scroll down, the option to click other. If you choose other, please share in the chat box what you see as a barrier, a challenge in your community that you can address in 2023. We're going to give you a few more minutes to think about your responses. This is a multiple choice poll. You can select more than one option. I see just over half of you have made your choices now. We'll give a little bit more time. These are important challenges to consider and to reflect upon. Let's go ahead and close out the poll here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And can we share the results on screen, please? Look at this. You are the global citizens. You are volunteers and committed peace allies from all around the world. And yet we see such similar challenges no matter where you're from. We still have challenges to overcome that may be linked to race. 39% of you want to take on that challenge this year. 45% age barriers, absolutely. 46 for nationality, ethnicity, 48 for gender identity, 54% for physical and mental abilities, 43% where education or access to education is the barrier. Political beliefs, we know that those can be divisive and should not be in our greater society. Religious beliefs, 27%, family or marital status, 27%, and 9% of you have even chosen to address other areas as well. And I see homelessness. I mean, there you have another disparity and inequity. The social injustices that divide us and make an us and them that is arbitrary. And I see addiction on the list as well. So there are so many areas where our society can work to improvement. And we want to give you time to chat about those. So I'm going to invite my co-host here today, Jody, to give some instructions before we send you to breakout rooms.
Good morning and Happy New Year, everyone. It is that time. What a great way to lead into the conversation with that poll. It's kind of focused your discussion and your thoughts as to where we might be going and where you might be going with your work on advancing peace in 2023. So next up, it is time for you to start sharing with each other and learning from each other. We're going to send you into breakout rooms where you will have about 20 minutes to talk about and share how your thoughts about how you might advance peace and understanding in your area in 2023. In the room, you're each going to have about 2 minutes to share your name, where you're from, and your initial thoughts or plans for advancing peace this year. There will be a little bit of time for your fellow participants to add to and give you some feedback on your goals or your thoughts for your goals for the year. And we are also providing at least one, if not two, moderators in each room to help keep you on track and advance the conversation as you move on. With that, Lion Daniel, are we ready? Can we open up those breakout rooms? Fantastic. We will see you back in 20 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to just wait here for a second for everyone to return from their breakout rooms, where we know you had some fantastic discussions as we were popping in and out of some of your rooms. So I think we have everyone back. Daniel, do we? Awesome. In order to try to share some of the ideas that you all were able to present to each other, we're going to ask in as I call on them, each of our room moderators, to give a brief recap of some of the items and stories and opportunities and goals you've set for this year or are looking to set for this year as we move forward with the global conversation about peace. First of all, I'm going to ask Barb Riley to please join us. Barb, can you tell us a little bit about your room and what was the conversation?
Okay, the conversation was on, what really surfaced was the homelessness. And we were mentioning that perhaps that's a culture in itself among where we live, because it's a culture that has been created, homelessness, and how we can address that. And so there were a number of them that were talking about the food bank and about inviting others to join in our projects as volunteers. And we talked about some of the Ukrainian families that have moved into our countries, in Holland, in some of the other countries, and how we can include them in perhaps some of our projects just as volunteers. When they can volunteer, that is actually putting their foot in the door for perhaps a possible job, and it's good on their resumes. So all of them, whether they're from other countries or from, as we mentioned, from Ukraine. And I think that kind of summed up. We again talked about diversity and inclusion, and trying to get the clubs to work on some of those possible goals. I think that's my limit.
That's fantastic, Barb. Thank you for that recap. As you mentioned, working with the homeless and helping them find ways to adapt and join in the community, helping them create resumes and teach them interview techniques is so important. We actually were able to visit a project yesterday from the brand new Wilmington United Club, where that is exactly what they were doing in their local library. So I think there's resources, there's ways for us all to go about that. So thank you for adding that to the conversation, Barb. That's fantastic. All right, let's go on to our next group leader or room moderator, and that is going to be Eleanor. Eleanor, I'm going to bring you on here and ask you to unmute. Hello, dear Eleanor, how are you today? My friend, you are still muted, so if you could unmute, that would be great.
Sorry about that. Like Jody, I have asked one of my participants to give the synopsis for our breakout room because I'm having some challenges with my throat. So one of my members will do the reporting for our breakout room.
Oh, thank you, Eleanor. Can you share that name with us so we can add them to the spotlight here?
I think it was Line Dawn.
Dawn Rice Norton? I am bringing you
Yes.
online, Dawn, so come in and join us, please. And I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, I'm happy to give Eleanor a little hand here. We had some great discussions, as I'm sure the rest of your rooms did. Some really awesome projects. One, actually a couple, involved community gardening, and not only growing crops to then use, and using parklands as well as yards and things like that, but more public space and bringing people together in the whole planting and growing the products, but also growing the understanding and growing the ability to serve them with the food for those that are hungry and in need. So just bringing the community together on several different levels, and then they're hoping to grow that program and expand it more to other parts of it. A couple of the other projects just sounded incredible to me to use some of the peace posters. So the peace posters and peace essays that go into the competition, and some win and go forward, but there's a whole bunch of them that are not put to use. And so they're going to use those in projects, perhaps another cookbook and another another use of the essay contest answers and use the words that we're asking from our youth on how they understand peace and what they would do about peace, and putting that to more use. And I thought that was amazing idea. One of our young participants, the MD president of the Leos in India, they're going to do a series of camps in different locations, and their first one's going to reach out to the tribal community and connect with them. And then another was working with the School for Visually Impaired and building a studio for them to not only grow their musical skills and give them that outlet for creativity, but also to have a recording studio there to record books, so audio books, and to reach out and as well as to address some of the diversity of need and diversity of understanding. So some really great projects to look forward to in the coming several months.
Thank you, Dawn and Eleanor and your whole group. What an amazing breadth and depth of service that your group was talking about in that breakout room, and really exemplifies how important it is that we look at the need locally to figure out how best to expand peace and understanding locally. So thank you both so much. That was phenomenal. And some inspiration. I can't wait to hear how these projects go, and a reminder of how important it is to report your service projects, not only through the Lion system, if you're a Lion or a Leo in the My Lion system, but also to your community, to invite others to come in and help work on that peace and understanding. Because it's when we bring partners in and bring others in that we are truly successful in spreading peace. Because internally, we all focus on kindness matters, but we need to spread that word externally as well. So thank you both so much. Let's go to Lion Kim Stewart, if we can. And Kim, I'm going to ask you to unmute as we remove the spotlight from others. And Kim, tell us about what you were talking about in your breakout room, please.
Well, our breakout room really focused around youth and separately about drug addiction. And those are two major focuses of our group. I was lucky enough that I had a co-host, whether he realized it or not, Lion Vernon, whose club just opened up 2 days ago. They were just chartered, and they come originally out of the Bellefontaine Lions. And he was able to inspire many of our guests in our breakout room and help them see how perhaps creating a club branch that we might be able to get more youth involved and be able to reach out to different community members. But there was also a great focus on what we could do for those that have addiction problems. And I didn't have time to mention what my plans are. Our club is going to be focused on refugees and all refugees this year. Certainly Ukrainian refugees, but also refugees from Afghanistan and Syrian refugees, and see how we can help that community going forward.
Fantastic. You know, Kim, you hit on a couple of really important topics. And if we've learned nothing else in the last couple of years, it is that youth, and we hear this all the time, youth are not our future, they're our now. And by investing in those continual programs, not a one hit necessarily, but going in and mentoring and working with the youth, it helps in so many ways, and it builds, the ripple effect is just untenable. We just don't know the good we're doing. So if we can focus more on the youth and that long-term support, we're all going to be better off in building peace and understanding across the globe. And addiction is part of that as well, along with looking at the adult part of that. I would add that there are partnerships available out there through the Drug Enforcement Agency. The DEA, as they're known, is available across the globe and has a lot of opportunities, along with your local law enforcement, has programs available that you could team with them and partner with them to help expand that. So thank you all for sharing that. And Vernon, shout out to you for showing up. You got chartered on Friday. You had a service project yesterday, and you're on the Global Conversation about Peace today. So thank you to all those new Wilmington United Lions that are joining us today. So awesome work, Kim. Thank you so much. Next up, we are going to add our friend Mahesh into the conversation. Mahesh, how about you tell us a little bit about what was going on in your breakout room?
Greetings, everyone. Wish you love, peace, and happiness for the new year. We had a very interesting breakout room. We had all the policymakers in our room. We had past District Governor Murray, who has decided to slow down a little bit and work on peace through service. She wants to raise funds using for LCIF, using the telethon and other things that she does. We had Director Samir Abu Samra from Lebanon. Besides everything, he reminded us that we need to be careful. He just lost a lion in Lebanon for texting while driving. So that is one of the things that he's promoting, to focus on what you're doing rather than getting distracted with several other things. He is working on, as a board member, to bring LCI and LCIF together to serve the world. And again, we had another director, Pirkko from Finland. They are integrated society, but she wants to work on more on the global level and work on with the refugees in Europe to help them get the foothold in wherever they are. We had past District Governor Gela from South Africa. They did face, all of us know, they did face this history of apartheid for a long time, and they are working on bringing the communities together. They are working on interfaith get-togethers as well as understanding various cultures. And I kept him for the last, but we had Ellis from Delaware. He came from Brooklyn, from a tough neighborhood. He has seen the gun violence and all the negative things of urban culture. He is focused on health and fitness. He wants to have the kids healthy and disciplined, and by providing various activities for the youth. And he's a brand new lion, and we welcome him to our pride to help the world out. Just quickly going over what we are doing in New Jersey. We are working on a youth leadership conference in the month of March, focused on the diversity, equity, and inclusion. Not only just like sort of on a community basis, but we want to bring in all the organizations together. So we have one Rotary Club, one Optimist Club, one Kiwanis Club, and one Lions Club. We are coming together and working with the Special Olympics. We are going to talk about the diversity and equity for race, religions, gender, age, the abilities. We have several other partners that are going to be with us. That is one project. And then the other project, which I would discuss with the team in future, and Jody, you are aware of this, that we met a singer in Isame Forum in India.
Mahesh,
Sure.
Top secret. Don't share that one yet. More to come on that, because we have some amazing things coming down the pipe, but that right now,
Okay,
hey,
all right.
What another great room and a lot of great discussions. You know, the partnerships we're hearing about, reaching out to others is just so important. And since we are running a little late on time and we want to be on track with everyone's time and not take up too much time, we're going to skip the rest of the report outs from our moderator rooms at this point. And what we will do is we will make sure to be able to put that all in the follow-up email. We'll get reports from each of the moderators about the projects that they were sharing and learned about, and then we'll share that in the follow-up email that you'll get from Lions Virtual along with this recording sometime next week. So with that, Vice President Patti, I think we're back to you.
Well, I'm going to throw it over to Andrea to introduce our next special presentation. And we just wait for you to have audio connection, Andrea.
Yeah, I was just waiting for Jody to unmute me. She's incredible with shutting people up when she needs to. If I ask you all, what is sustainability? I guess that I will see 77 hands in the air, raised hands. If we speak about sustainable development goals, then we need to be brought to Agenda 2030 of the United Nations. And it is a plan for action for people, planet, and prosperity. And it tackles every policy area. It reaches every person on the planet, and it helps us grow further and leave the world to our successors. Today, we're about to welcome Simone Filippini, who is a former Dutch diplomat. I'm proud to say a personal friend, an ambassador and a consul general, who was awarded the Diversity Award of the Dutch Foreign Ministry, as well as other awards. She was the CEO of the largest Dutch humanitarian and development organization, CORDAID, and is an activist for sustainable development, capacitating and empowering government leadership, diversity, and women empowerment. Simone has served in multiple voluntary functions, but today she is a member of the World Government Summit Dubai Global Council on SDG 16, led by former New Zealand Prime Minister Helen Clark. Simone is an international strategic advisor, concept developer, communication expert, and will speak to us today on the topic of Sustainable Development Goal 16, to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Simone is here with us, so she might take a few questions afterwards in the chat. But let's listen to the interview that Vice President Patti had with her and get inspired to work with local governments and partner with institutions, because together we can and together we will.
Good day and welcome back to our global conversation about peace. I'm joined today for this segment by Simone Filippini, who is currently engaged with the World Government Summit Dubai Global Council on the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 16 particularly, which is the goal for social justice, peace, and strong institutions. She's also served as president of the UN Association for the Netherlands. She is a former diplomat and a strategic advisor. Welcome to our conversation, Simone.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
We're really thrilled to be in conversation with you today. You have had a very interesting journey professionally and personally. Tell us a bit about your journey and how you now are an advocate for our Sustainable Development Goal 16, which supports social justice, peace, and strong institutions.
Well, thanks so much for the question. It's a really good question, and it's my journey basically started as a child with my parents, who were very much into social justice. My father was a Catholic, always active to contribute to society, to a more inclusive and social justice-driven context. And so, I always say you cannot deny your education and your upbringing. And that is how it all started. And the older I get, the more I get dedicated to these issues, especially after I saw, both as a Dutch ambassador and as a CEO of 2 different NGOs, and in also being politically active, that we need so much more peace-driven governmental policies and action, also policies driven towards social justice and building inclusive societies. And that can only be done through governmental leadership, political leadership, and very well functioning institutions. So basically, it was an increasing understanding of what the world needs to achieve sustainable change towards getting more peaceful, inclusive, and sustainable ecologically as well.
Was there a particular issue that, a social justice issue or a peace initiative that really galvanized your involvement or catapulted you into this work?
Well, to be honest, my visits to Central African Republic and South Sudan made a huge impression on me because I saw there that all those promises being made on implementing global agendas can never be achieved without peace, without political leaders taking responsibility for peace building and for delivering and encouraging social justice within their populations. I mean, what I saw there is that you can't escape it when you visit those countries to see that war, conflict, and lacking proper leadership drive people into the most dire circumstances. And these are all people like you and me, loving their families, wanting to have a better future for their children, but they can't. They had to go on the run to save their lives and those of their families. So that total lack of justice propelled me into trying to make a real difference, different from being in an NGO, but trying to set up something for myself, dedicated towards this subject.
I appreciate your comments about that because once we've seen something, this social injustice that you witnessed, we can't unsee it. Now, you mentioned how important it is to advocate that our politicians do, in fact, pursue their commitments that they make on behalf of us, the people of the governments. So, how can we as individuals, just committed volunteers in our communities, how can we influence or impact the actions that are taken or not taken by our elected official?
Now, that is a good question. I think that it is a bit different in any context. It might not be the same for each and every representative listening into this conversation. But I think it starts with the realization that as individuals, you can make an impact. You have that power inside you, right? You can take people along. If you develop ideas, talking with others, trying to get a platform to develop support, together we can make impact. And it starts on an individual level.
And as I look at your work, focused on building strong institutions, that might be a benchmark by which we as individuals could decide, is this the institution that I want to be aligned with, or does this institution need to be held accountable? How do you define a strong institution? What is the goal, the objective of this work around strong institutions?
Well, in the first place, our institutions need to work for the public good, for the common good. And a well-functioning institution is an institution that effectively implements the policies that have been agreed on at political level. For example, if you think of the Sustainable Development Goals, the global goals as they are sometimes also called by the UN, they are about getting rid of poverty, preventing people from having hunger, seeing to it that everybody has access to affordable and quality healthcare, to affordable and quality education, to clean water, to clean energy, to proper jobs, that no one is being excluded in our societies, that we have access to free speech, so that we are not being oppressed by our authorities if we open our mouth and protest, which is the right of us as citizens. So well-functioning institutions see to it that those basic services to the population are being guaranteed, and also that our basic rights are guaranteed as well. So we can measure them in that context.
That's a wonderful way to really implement the strategic development goals, the SDGs, on a very practical level. When we look at an institution, are they, this is our checklist, are they guaranteeing all of these rights, which have been declared as the homework of all of us around the world, the work our world needs to do. I want to thank you for bringing that perspective today. I know that in the breakout rooms, there will be many people who want to discuss that further in the opportunity that we're going to provide them. We were so fortunate to have Simone Filippini in conversation with us, and we have some more of that interview to share with you in the future. Some of you may have noticed that Simone was online with us today as well, but has lost her connection just now. As we all go forward and we leave the wonderful, inspiring stories and ideas that have been shared here today, not only for what we can do locally, but what we can hold our elected officials accountable for. As we think about those opportunities we have now in 2023 to really make a difference, it's time for us to move from discussion to action. So, next steps. Look for an email from Lions Virtual in the next week, and it will come with a link to download your certificate of participation today, a recording of today's session, an action plan worksheet in case this is your first time putting together the action plan with your partners or sharing it with people who weren't online today. So make sure you grab that action plan worksheet. It will have all the links and files referred to today, along with a link to register for our next event. Now, we know we come together to generate this energy and to be inspired, but our next event will truly be an opportunity to hear your stories of success and to celebrate. So our celebration of peace will be on April 2nd from 10 a.m. to 11:15 Central Daylight Time. That's GMT -5. And the registration link is in the chat. You can go ahead and click it open now. Thank you to each and every one of you for all of your efforts to spread peace and harmony. We even heard comments today that if we don't tend this garden of peace, that it can, in fact, go dormant or, in fact, go backwards. So it's so important that we continue to make peace and harmony a priority. It needs to be the action that we take, not something we assume that we can just have as a given. I thank each and every one of you for being online, for spreading the story forward. A very special thank you to the first timers who've joined us today and to our technical team who continue to support us and make these global conversations a virtual reality. As we leave today, a challenge from Lion Lori Sheehan to get moving while raising funds to support Lion service around the globe. Let's have the video run now. Oh my gosh, the technical team. Yes, incoming news, incoming news. The technical team says that video isn't going to be available for us right now. But if we could run All We Need Is Peace. Dale, I know you're the technical wizard. If you can run that for us now, that's a great way for us to leave and start our day.
So we can fill the world with hope. We all need hope. So we can build a lasting peace. We all need peace to keep our dreams alive. We all need peace to make our planet thrive. We need to sing so that the world can hear our song. We need a song so that the world can sing along. Our song will spread its message loud and clear. Our song will spread to people far and near. Together we can learn to harmonize, to bring together different views. We'll find a million ways to verbalize a message strong and bright and true. We all need love, so we can fill our world with hope. We all need hope, so we can build a lasting peace. We all need peace to keep our dreams alive. We all need peace to make our planet thrive. To make our planet thrive. To keep our
Dreams alive. Peace. And may peace fill your life and bless you every day.